and welcome to this episode of our Thriving Thrive, the Zoom sessions. I'm David Francis Moore, and this is my colleague,
Juliet Harvey.
And today we are joined by Edel Tobin, who is the founder and artistic director of Waterford Walls, Ireland's International Street Art Festival, and she's also the artistic director and founder of the Walls Project. Edel, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Delighted to be here.
Great.
Well, I suppose I'm a happened by chance artist professional, because the arts isn't actually my background. I'm a primary school teacher, but I've always been interested in how we can reimagine public space and connect communities. And one of the most effective tools for doing that, I've always found, is through the arts. And Waterford Walls would have grown out from that premise of, in Waterford, we were left after a very bad economic downturn, and in particular with losing the Waterford Glass factory. There was a big loss of identity in the city and in the people in the city. And one of the big side effects, byproducts of that as well, was, besides a very depressed place to be psychologically, and even just people here, there was high unemployment, there was, people were going through a tough time. But one of the other things as well was, in the physical public space was a lot of beautiful old derelict architecturally beautiful buildings that were just left to, and whether we like it or not, they might be owned by somebody, but at the same time, it's a whole community that's affected when they see an empty space or a derelict building like that. And Waterford Walls then was a solution, a double solution, I suppose, is to reuse those spaces and inspire communities to look from the ground, to stop looking at the ground and to start looking up. And that's simply the premise of it. I suppose in terms of like the artists that paint with us at the festival each year, we're always asked, what's the brief that we give for artists, or what's the theme that we have for each festival? And my answer is always, because, I'm the one that, or my organisation, we're inviting artists down to paint and express and gift their artwork to our city. And I'm very reluctant to overburden them with and constrict them with the brief, because they are chosen and selected because of the calibre of their work, and their portfolios and their work speaks for themselves. So we need to have trust in them to be able to deliver, the calibre of work which they have been consistently doing now for, this is the 6th year, and it's plain to see all over the city, and also in the communities that the artwork is located in. Everybody from the youngest to the oldest to, all sorts of backgrounds, everybody knows and comes down to see the artist when they come down, and they know all about the project, and they know all about the difference the project makes to their lives and their communities. So it's a wonderful project really to have started, and to see the benefits and the effects that it has on the people in the city. Oh, it's everything, because nobody and nothing, no one thing works in isolation. It like, and especially when you're working in the public realm, and when you're working in community arts and community space, it's all about linking and connecting people. And that is what collaboration, that's what the essence of collaboration is about, bringing all those different stakeholders and balancing it all, and producing this, wonderful outcome of an artwork that's going to reflect and stay with that community for a long time to come. Because a lot of our art is there, well, some of our art is there for like the last 5 years, but a lot, it all stays there relatively long term, a minimum of a year. So, you know, and then in terms of putting on the project, and every single project that we do, both as the festival and outside of the festival, it's all about working with different groups. It's working with the local authority, it's working with community groups, it's working with artists, it's working with a wide, diverse number of stakeholders, and trying to get that balance, link everybody in together, and everybody has their say and their expression and input into the final outcome. And I suppose that's where my area of expertise is, I think, is like bringing these people together, you know, to kind of have everybody have an input, and then, you know, hand it over to the artist, and then the artist delivers the piece. It's essential. They're both the same thing in my book. The arts is about being creative and thinking outside the box, and finding solutions to things that are reimagining things that other people can't see, or maybe are not able to see, and that you present it in such a way that they're able to understand it. And that's what entrepreneurship is. Entrepreneurship is finding new ways of doing things in a very interesting and engaging way. So for me, they are very much hand in hand. Like entrepreneurship and creativity and the arts, they're very much hand in hand. And if you've any, I think that's one of the main things that I'd be kind of conscious of when you're trying to grow an arts business. Like, I see it as a business as well as, do you know what I mean? I don't see them as separate. So to me, the two qualities go very much hand in hand. Yeah, I mean, like, I suppose our area, like, starting with Waterford Walls, it's a festival and an event. I think we could look at many, many case studies across the country of entrepreneurial festival events that have been set up to, because basically what a festival and an event is a representation and an expression of community togetherness, right? And they all kind of like, that's where they all kind of start from, and then they have all this like, and then the event itself is like a connector, you know, where everybody comes together. So that in itself for me is hugely entrepreneurial. And even just to put an event on requires an enormous amount of not just work, but skill and multitasking and thinking outside the box and working with different stakeholders. Then as regards the Walls project, the agency that grew out from the demand from the artwork that was seen at the festival, I definitely would like to think that people, when they look at our agency, will, you know, see it as another entrepreneurial solution to, same as the festival, trying to connect people and inspire people, as well as to reuse derelict buildings, that the agency was seeing an opportunity that emerged from the festival to create employment for artists, as well as bring Waterford Walls literally to anywhere in Ireland and across Europe and the world. So I would like to think that people will think that. I don't know of any other examples. We're always constantly trying to link in with similar organisations that are doing the same thing as us in agency terms, both abroad and within Ireland. But I haven't found too many examples that I can make a comparison on. But I would like to think that we're doing a good job, because, you know, already we are working with groups in Italy, UK, Indonesia, US, France, as well as within Ireland, you know, as in with artists and arts organisations. So, you know, something is going right if that's happening. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, as in, how people view it, I don't know, but I like to think that like it's another example of entrepreneurialism in the arts. To be honest, I wouldn't, it doesn't really, I feel a little bit of a fraud because I'd never studied art in school. I never studied art in college. I wouldn't have I certainly wouldn't be a gallery or a museum goer. And, I like when you see the artists that come down and paint in Waterford each year, you'll just be blown away. And to be kind of calling myself an artistic director or programmer of these guys, I feel a little bit, kind of a bit of a fraud. But and to be honest, even with the artistic program of Waterford Walls and the curation of it, it is very much a team effort. Like, it isn't just about the art. It's also about, because when you're working in public space, it's very different to working in indoor space. So the wall and the space, the canvas that you're painting on is nearly as important, as the artist, because like you're very much matching up a canvas with an artist that's going to suit that space, as well as the surrounding area that wall is located in. But look, I'll take artistic director. If you want to call me that, I'm more than happy. Well, to be honest, each year funding is a big problem for us with the festival. So we tend with our budgets each year to concentrate more on getting our artists, suppliers, accommodation, flights paid than to put the money into marketing, because and it's not because we don't need it. We do need it badly, but we just never seem to have enough funding there to concentrate, because if we did, we would be so much better. I'll give you an example, okay? The PR media value that Waterford Walls has attracted for Waterford in 2019, and that's spend no money on advertising and no money on marketing, bear in mind, and this is national and international media, came in at 16 million plus. Okay, now that's a pretty phenomenal, I think that's probably one of our biggest achievements, to be honest. That is just literally by goodwill and people loving the story, because it's all about the story, you see. And the story is it's just an inspiring story. It's like kind of coming from the grassroots. It's, people taking back the power from themselves. You won't find that story in many places. And, so in terms of marketing of the festival, we don't really pay much for that, because we just never have enough funds. And there's no way that we wouldn't want to pay more important areas like paying our artists and suppliers and that. Then as regards the Walls project, because the Walls project is, it's like commissioned work from clients, the only thing that we really spend money on in the Walls project is our website. And that's it, like in the website to put up our portfolio of work, put up the bios and portfolios of artists that have worked with us on which projects, mainly the website. Yeah. Well, that's something that's very specific to your project and to your festival. And it's by knowing your festival and your systems and what works that you're going to be able to find those solutions. So in Waterford Walls' case, public funding actually only gives us, I'd say, not even a fifth of what we need to put on our festival each year. Everything else is done by sponsorship and schemes that we have in place. So one of them is a sponsor and artist scheme that has been there since the beginning, and we find that works very well, because one thing I would advise when people are dealing, arts professionals are dealing with sponsorship, is you need to make sure that it's a symbiotic relationship. They need to see, like, it's all well and good to say you're going to get your logo onto our website and things. That actually doesn't really mean anything. Like, you need to like build relationships with these people. So the sponsor and artist, they come in, they know exactly, like a business will know the wall that they're sponsoring, the artist that they're sponsoring. They'll get a photo with the artist, they'll get a tour with an interview with the artist, and yeah, so that's the sponsor a mural, or sponsor an artist. Then another one that we came up with in the last couple of years was the wall owner scheme. So what the wall owner scheme is that because the Walls project has been set up and we were getting so much interest from privately commissioned artwork, we said, okay, in the festival, we're actually painting all these walls for free. Why not ask businesses that would maybe couldn't afford a full private art commission, but, you know, say to them, why not join our wall owner scheme, and we'll paint your wall in our festival, where the festival absorbs half the costs of what it would cost for you to pay for that outside of the festival. So all our walls this year are wall owner scheme. So all our wall owners have contributed towards the walls. Then the other thing, and we've been doing this since lockdown started, is developing our online shop. So that in particular we're developing is the prints of the artwork, and also custom t-shirts with Waterford Walls 2020 artwork. So that's improving a bit. That's certainly generating an income. And then the other thing that we've been doing as well is developing and strengthening relationships that we have with existing and new sponsors that we want to have. And we don't choose, or we don't approach sponsors that really would have no connection with the festival. So the sponsors that we have are our emulsion paint, Colour Trend, our spray paint, Montana, our equipment hire, which is a local equipment hire company, you know, companies like that, you know, so that, you know, they're sponsoring materials, of which now materials could be 15, 20,000. Equipment hire for us could be 15,000, 20,000. So by sponsoring those, do you know what I mean? So we're generating streams that way, which we're finding is working well. Something must be working well, because all of our sponsors are still with us, and that's after 5. This is our 6th year. Well, I suppose the outdoor space is the easiest one, because that's the public realm, and yes, that's moving from space to space and wall to wall. And I suppose when you're working in the public realm, you have to bear in mind and take into account how people are going to interact with the art, how they're going to engage with the art, because that art is going to sit there and be there for a while, you know. And you also have to very much be linking in with the local authority to ensure around things like planning, and making sure that, like, if you needed a partial of a road closure or a road traffic management plan, or rubbish, or, you know, anything like that, like rubbish collection, all those kinds of things. So like, we would very much operate, and this would be for commissioned artwork as well, is that, like, we would basically formulate what would be like a little event management plan for each site, you know, on the day-to-day of what's going to happen on each site, to ensure that the artist gets the most out of their time, and also that the arts personnel that are working there with them are using their time best effectively. In terms of the digital space, we're very much looking at the minute, because of lockdown And the loss of basically our international audience are not going to be able to travel for a while yet. And also we have to think about the social distancing and that kind of management of that kind of new behaviour in the public realm around our sites. And we're very much, in particular, our big thing is that we're always constantly trying to find ways of keeping our audience engaged, as well as hopefully engaging new audiences. But for the internationals, we are working now with VR photographers and videographers to create a virtual reality tour experience. There's over 100 pieces of large-scale mural art now in Waterford, and we're going to start developing VR tour models and basically presenting them up online or through an app that you can download on your phone. And then we also want to work, we want collaborative work to be going on in the future, and we've been applying for projects and funding around this, is where our mural artists work with augmented reality and digital artists to basically create and animate the static mural art, like the static image that you see, and animate it, and then again present that in a virtual reality format or into an augmented reality app. So that's where we're at with that at the minute. In terms of then our social media and our website, we're very much putting a lot of work into the website, because that's where our shop and our, I suppose, promotion and platform for our artists is. What you call it, and you know, we'll be very active definitely on social media on a constant basis. And one thing that we did as a reaction, I suppose, to the lockdown was we found that a lot of people had time in their hands because they had to stay at home, and then a lot of arts personnel and artists, basically their work was just like stopped, like came to standstill, same as lots of people. So what we decided to do was to use the Waterford Walls Instagram live channel, and basically we've been doing live Instagram feeds, interviews, sorry, at 6 o'clock every Wednesday with arts organisations and artists across the world, with artists that have worked with Waterford Walls, and arts personnel, and we're kind of like doing, just kind of connecting in with each other. I'd imagine, like, we were only discussing this particular one because it's gone really well. The reaction was really, like, it was so interesting, like, to find out what different people and how different people are operating in different parts of the world. But we were just saying the other day, will we continue it after, like, because our festival starts in, I think, July the 13th. And we were saying, you know, it's been lovely, but, you know, it was started to connect people, you know, because they're at home, and it'll be a lovely idea. But now people are kind of out and about, and they're a little bit kind of busier. They probably won't engage with that anymore. But I would like to use that Instagram interview kind of model for, I don't know what for, but for something else, because if it got that kind of reaction and that kind of engagement, then there must be something in it that people, you know, we could continue forward with. It's that, like, common sense and thinking outside the box are the way out of this, like, as in the way forward. And the thing about it is we like it or not, there's nothing like the real time, face to face, seeing something go up in action and the arts process. But at the same time, for a long time, VR has been the way to go. It has been, like, you know, and downloading of an app and animating of things and having things on the phone and making things really accessible and easy and functional to use has been so, and we never had time, you see, to explore this before, because you're so busy putting on the festival and the, you know, and like the day-to-day stuff. So this has actually given us an opportunity to actually, you know, explore that side of things. And yeah, hopefully now we get the funding and that we're able to, because like one of the projects that we applied for funding for was with an Italian group from Milan called Be Part. And basically they're like digital programmers, digital artists. And we applied for funding to go into 4 Balkan countries. Don't ask me, I can't remember the name of the cities. But basically, Waterford Walls, the Walls project, will go in and we'll basically choose and develop an arts program, a mural arts program, and the creation of new mural artwork in those 4 cities, as well as the archiving of existing street art that's in those 4 cities, and train up tour guides to do tours of the artwork in each city. And then the Italian guys are going to go in and they're going to teach young people in each of those 4 countries how to photograph properly and map properly and digital program all of that artwork into an animated augmented reality app that you can just download from your phone, which would be amazing. And again, the pandemic was another reason. We'd never have had time. You should have seen that European application. It was like 85 pages long. It was mind-boggling. I would never have been able to do that if I had even one task to do. And luckily, the pandemic was here and you had nothing to do except this European application. I'd say now, to be honest, valuing my time is something I could really work on, and I'm constantly trying to ensure that I try to value it, because with working in the arts, and you see, I'm a teacher as well, right? So I work like primary school 9 to 3 o'clock, and then I'm going into like the arts mode from like 3:30. Now that could go into 10, 11 at night. And then with we have a small team. One girl works once a week, 1 day a week with us on the festival, and then another girl from Italy works 5 days a week. And often it could go 10, 11 at night. So I had to, like last year, I had to like start putting things in place to start pulling that back, because you just get burnt out, and you know, you're not able to think straight or make proper good decisions when you're like that tired and worn out. So I'm definitely getting better, I would think, at valuing my time. Like nothing goes past 6 o'clock anymore. My phone is off, like that's gone. I try to, as much as possible. I am always kind of, you know, because the phone is the devil, because you're looking at your email and then you're checking Facebook stuff, and I have 9 accounts to be looking at. Now it is managed by somebody doing social media on our team, but at the same time you can't help, like when you see like loads of like likes or notifications coming in about something, and you're like, oh God, you know. So I try to 6 o'clock. I'm getting better, but I definitely could get better. Not enough is the short answer now to that, because like what I found with since I started Waterford Walls in particular, because Waterford Walls depends on public, well, even though we only have about 1/5 of our budget is public funding, we're constantly applying for far more public funding applications. And what I'm finding with feedback with like organisations like the Arts Council and even the local authority is that they like to see a good board of governance and governance model with your organisation. And you know, and even besides the need for that for the public funders, I actually realised we really needed a good advisory board made up of like people that we needed with certain skill sets. For example, like in the public realm, you need a good architect because you come across planning issues. You need a good accountant or financial advisor to be looking at your books. You need somebody that's good at legal or contract law, you know, when it comes to, you know, so all of those things. So I have found, even though there's work involved in setting up a board, and even in, because I sit on the board as well, it is worth it, because when a problem kind of comes up, rather than, of which many come up all the time, rather than me having to deal with it every single one of them, I can defer now certain things to the board. So that is a great help, and it is a great support. And I suppose the team then that I have, even though there's only 3 of us, well, 4 of us, I suppose, but you know, and it's small, like it is small, and considering the amount of work that we do, and we definitely need to get more, I suppose, work or people into our team. At the same time, the team that's there is phenomenal. Like as in phenomenal, like there isn't a title you can give to any of them, because they just do so many things like myself, you know. You know, putting in supports I think is really important for you to have any chance of sustaining things long term, but also developing your program and developing your practice and to the potential that it needs to go to. You need to have those supports in place rather than dealing with the day-to-day the whole time. That would just grind you down. I'd like to think so. I'd like to think so. I mean, we're like, I speak as we here, because like it really is like, you know, the progression and the development of everything that we're doing is like, it's a 3 people constantly, this, and then, you know, somebody will come up with, okay, yeah, but if we do it this way, then we could also get the sustainability and the green factor, environmental in. And so I'd be saying we definitely, and even just to single one of those qualities, which is the, I was thinking of the reaction to COVID. There was one of those qualities, right, that you mentioned.
The
Adaptability.
coping with ambiguity, uncertainty, and risk.
Yes, of risk management and and initiative and adaptability, because as soon, like, just to take that one example, but like, I mean, you really could find so many examples if you were sitting with us or following us on a day-to-day, like you'll see all of them. But like, say in terms of COVID as an example, you know, when that hit, right, and you have to imagine now, all of our income just stopped. Like our commissioned artwork gone, workshops gone, guided art tours gone, and you know, there was the real chance that our festival was going to go, because every other festival was going. And you know, we kind of very, very early on in March just kind of said, you know what, you know, we can do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like the longer that we live with this virus in our communities, and you know, we can actually deliver our festival, because you know, 1, it's outdoors, 2, we can make it very much one artist on at a wall with social distancing of 1, if not 2 volunteers. You know, we know all our suppliers. We're able to like kind of what you call it, basically track all our paperwork and COVID-19 policies, health and safety with all our suppliers. We're able to track all of our artists. We were able to like come up with what I think, I'm hoping anyway, it hasn't been tried out yet, is a really innovative solution that, like, you know, we start with the Irish artists on the 13th of August or 13th of July. We'll finish with the international artists in August, towards the end of August, in the hope that the quarantine will have been, like, we really were thinking 2 steps ahead at all times. And if anything, I'll be going into my local authority now after this, and if we're able to pull it off, I'll be saying to them, you need to look at us as an example of what you can do to get each and every town and city back operating. Because what we're doing is like an event out in a public space, which is exactly what a local authority is supposed to do. And, you know, like in terms of like bringing, you know, from, you know, seating for like pubs and restaurants and trying to bring them outside and how people behave outside and making sure that, you know, all those kind of, every single thing has been thought of. So I'd like to think that the work that we've done to try and deliver the festival in spite of COVID-19, you know, that's a real example of like us like persevering, you know, not taking no for an answer, adapting, changing, and still kind of considering everybody's needs, like our audience's needs, like, you know, like the internationals who wouldn't be able to come here, and hopefully we keep them engaged with our project, as well as, you know, the people within Ireland and locally that will be able to come and visit physically. And yeah, and then most importantly, as well, is like, you know, that we're one of the few examples that you're going to find even internationally, because like all our international artists are telling us this, of an event that is going ahead and ensuring them employment. And I think that's something to be really proud of, to be honest. No ego, perseverance, / nagging. Don't take no for an answer. That's probably the same thing. And good with people, I think. Yeah, because it's not just with one specific group. It's, you know, good with people, good with, you know, identifying who are the stakeholders in every project, who are the ones that are going to benefit most, because they're the ones that you're going to have the easiest chance of bringing on board with your project. And also it'll ensure that your project will have a more long-lasting legacy than if you don't link in with those people, with the stakeholders. That's something I think that they could really, really benefit graduates and even students in the college course, even in the middle of the course, to be doing placements at regular intervals. And the reason I say that is because one of the team, Christina, she's from Italy, she found Waterford Walls and the Walls project when she was over in Rome, and asked to come and do her Erasmus scheme with us, working on the project. And that could be anything. It was like shadowing me, but like it was literally anything. And the amount, she's still there. Like her Erasmus scheme finished after 3 months. Now, I'm not saying like payment is great, but Christina is so happy with it, and it's only getting better for Christina. And she would never, like, if she didn't come on Erasmus, she'd never have, besides what she's learned, she would never have had the chance to, like, you know, because I'd say graduates would find, after spending so long in college and you put so much time and effort and financial into it, that you're trying to scramble to get that back after college. So you're not going to really go and volunteer in a project or a festival. So, you know, and really, to be honest, the best way to, because the arts is such a small and it's not very well funded sector, hopefully that will improve. But I would definitely say if they could come up with some sort of work placements with projects, would be really beneficial to both the project as well as the students. No. No is the short answer. And and to thrive in your artistic career, I think you need to get, I think the whole area needs to be funded properly. It's not funded properly. It's really undervalued. And because of that, you know, the funding of it is shockingly poor. And even just on, you know, day-to-day stuff, and even just trying to get the supports that are needed. And it's not even like huge supports, it's just, you know, kind of given the okay for things to go ahead and kind of make it easy for you. There's a lot of red tape, especially in the public realm. And it's time consuming. And no, I genuinely, you wouldn't want to be in the arts or developing your arts practice for financial gain, or even to get financially just paid properly, because it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. But like, you know, that's where the beauty of entrepreneurism comes in, because it is the way it is. It has always been this way. I can't see how things are going to improve in the foreseeable. So you just try and find ways of, you know, making it better yourself. So that goes back to your question before of funding streams to fund the festival. You know, it's that, thinking like that the whole time. Even the Walls project grew out of the fact that this amazing artist here in Waterford, can we have it in Louth? Can we have it in Galway? Can we have it in, yes you can, and up we go and we get paid for it. And now Waterford Walls becomes the platform for the artists. So they express, and they kind of, you know, it's not like, you know, like a briefed commission. So it's like a platform, and they have a huge international audience, especially for local and artists starting out. And then the Walls project is able to provide proper, fully paid employment for commissioned work outside of the festival.
Then Edel Tobin. Edel, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. If people want to find out more about your work and the projects that you're working on, what's your website, what's your handle?
Yes, people can go to find out more about us at www.waterfordwalls.ie for the festival event, and then www.thewallsproject.ie for the agency.
Brilliant, and everyone go check that out. Edel, thanks so much for joining us on the Zoom room sessions today. It's lovely having you.
It's been brilliant to be here. Thanks a million for having me.